Hello and welcome to In the Library with
Marsha,
and Adrian. Today we have with us special guest.
Molly,
welcome.
thank you.
I miss you. I miss you. I'm so glad
I
to
miss you
see you.
too so
No,
much. I was talking about you yesterday, how much I miss you.
I miss you. So thank you for doing this today, so I can at least see you here.
We also
Yeah.
we also were talking about you and saying lots of things we cannot air.
Yeah, edit, radio, edit.
I don't know nothing about that.
Aw. I know. So like, Molly, I have a long, loving relationship with Molly. So I ironically stole her from Ellis to come work at Bedford with me, and then
And then
we
abandoned
kind of
me.
then I left you and we switched roles. So I'm extra sad about that, but I never regretted the decision of being like, you should come over here
Aw.
where I am. We should work together at all
And I
times.
never regretted coming, so it
I'm
worked
so
out.
glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you're
So,
just amazing. You're such an asset. What were you saying, Adrian? He has some good questions. Don't worry,
Oh
Molly.
boy, I'm
well,
sure he does.
for our listeners who may not be familiar with Molly's background, why don't you tell us a bit about what you do here?
Do you want my whole library career or do you
Yes,
want
let's hear it.
anything now? Okay, so I started 15 and a half years ago at the Dorsch branch,
When you
which,
were 3.
yeah, when I was an infant, um, as a page, which I loved paging. And I feel like that's a really valuable experience if you're going to make a career out of libraries to do a little bit of everything. And Dorsch was my childhood, like story time branch. So I have a lot of emotional connections there. So I was at Dorsch and then I subbed around Monroe County for a while and paged at Frenchtown and Blue Bush. And I did a lot of subbing at like Dundee, which is how I met Marsha. And then she stole me. Oh, but I went to Ellis first as a clerk. I was there for a few years before Marsha stole me down to Bedford.
Yeah.
And then I was part-time at Bedford for a while and I transitioned to reference a couple years ago. And since then, it's just been nonstop all the time. Projects, which is super fun. I get to do the community gardens. So the Bedford Library has community gardens that people can check out. You can borrow them for a season, grow some crops, grow flowers, like whatever. Do the houseplant library. So we have a lot of beautiful plants around and I propagate those and people can take those home. We have a seed library, which obviously works in conjunction with the gardens. People can check out seeds and plant plants and grow plants and harvest plants and then bring some seeds back if they want. And I just started a book club. So I have the Banned Books book club. We read banned books. We just finished The Hate You Give. In March, we're going to read Fun Home, which is a graphic novel. Always accepting new members. It's been super wonderful so far. I love it. We meet on the fourth Wednesday of every month, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
So go.
16 and up for that.
Okay.
Yeah, so open to age ranges beyond just adult.
And when you say banned books, we're
Banned
talking about
books.
books that were illegal somewhere, not books about like the Rolling Stones.
Right. That would be an interesting book club, like reading about music. That would be lovely. But yes, banned or challenged books. So every month we read a different book that has been banned or been challenged. Unfortunately, it's a long list. So, we have a lot to choose from.
I also think some of those banned books could be crossovers, right? I'm pretty sure that a book about the Rolling Stones was banned somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of music references in The Hate You Give.
Sure. Oh yeah. Tupac.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's so all the things. One of my favorite things to think about, Molly, is when you transitioned to reference and full time. I remember you saying, you just need someone to stay here on desk with the public all the time. Sign me up. I don't really need to do all those programs. And now I listen to you and I just was like, see, it just happens. It just
Yeah, I think about that
me.
all the
It's
time. I'm like,
contagious.
what was I supposed to be doing again? Suddenly I'm doing all this programming.
I know, but you're so wonderful at it, and you're so gifted in so many ways. I mean, it's not just all the plant things. Obviously, you're gifted with patrons and technology. You have done
You're so
technology classes.
sweet.
You've done everything. But I do really feel like you are like one with nature. So this is like kind of your calling, and it's perfect. It's
I love it.
beautiful. The houseplant library is beautiful. If you've not seen that at the fireplace area at the Bedford Library, and also I want you to talk a little bit more about how do you actually check out the garden beds. Did you want to talk on that just a little?
Sure. So it's kind of an informal process at this point. It doesn't function completely like a traditional library material. Previous garden bed checker outers do get first dibs. If last season went well, then we want people to continue using the bed. But interested people should just leave their contact information with me. I'll get with them. There's an agreement you can sign about, just taking care of the plot and making sure it gets cleaned up at the end of the season. And then you borrow it, and it's kind of free reign about April through, I think, the end of October I did last year.
Are there some available now for this upcoming season still? Could they still?
That's a little bit up in the air. I'm still
Okay.
waiting to hear back on that from a couple of previous borrowers, trying to arrange with our youth services people, because they like to have at least one plot to do children's programming in the summer, which is super fun. The kids like grow ingredients for like salsa usually, and then they make salsa in the summer. It's super cute.
Yeah, and it's great. It's great to see them out there and just enjoying it. But it's also, I thought it would be cool, even if you couldn't get one this year, to be made aware of it, to get on a list, like you said, just to know that we have those. So
yeah, and I planted some irises and lilies in one of the beds at the end of last season. So as long as those come up okay, this spring we'll have like perennial plants to loan out, much like we do the houseplant library.
Oh, beautiful. That's so genius. I love that. I love that you're growing them there now even too. And then what a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a beautiful library, and we have so much on the grounds. Why not share that with everyone we can?
With the gardens, I also was going to shout that out when I'm like, you're also frequently weeding, not just your gardens, but everyone's gardens. Like you'll be like, it's a weed day today, and you're out there working. So
oh yeah, out in the dirt. Yeah, I'm always like, I'm gonna go play in the dirt if you need me.
I love it. I love it. And I'm like, no thanks. I'll be in here with the air. Which you're always out there doing such great things and making that place look so great.
Oh, thanks. Oh, another plug. We have a seed starting workshop coming up on March 23rd here at the Bedford Library. I think that's 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay.
So registration's open for that on our calendar. I know we have spots still open. All materials are provided. It is kind of a dirt-centric program, so feel free to bring your own gloves. But other than that, everything's provided.
That's wonderful. Now, are you doing this, or do you have someone coming in?
Oh, I'm doing this. Yeah,
That's
I'm planning to
wonderful.
make it an annual thing. We did one last year, and it was successful. And then I can start seeds for the gardens here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And your desk looks like a greenhouse. I mean, I haven't seen it lately, but it looked like a jungle. Your desk was like a jungle.
This may be a thorny subject. But what are your least favorite plants to grow?
Ooh.
Well, I am not that great with succulents. I tend to overwater, which is what most people tend to do with succulents. Yeah, those are a little rough for me. Trying to think of other like outside plants. I'm not a big fan of like monoculture lawns for various reasons, but grass is easy to grow and it does look nice. I can't deny that.
It's just not nice for nature, right? Like where
right.
do the bees and the where does everything go? But that's funny. I know when you said about succulents, but I have a black thumb and kill everything. And I think that's my problem is I forget to water and then everything's crispy. Then I try to make up for it and then I therefore overwater. So first I like under and then over. So
you're not alone on that.
I leave the plant thrive into you. Also all the indoor plants in there too, like even just the ones on display at the library. I was thinking about how you have nursed many back to health or taken them home and saved them and brought them back. Like I feel like you've just done so much. No, but you've just done so much there.
First of all, you are unbelievable. But do you have any tips for raising plants for our listeners?
There's a lot of competing information online, so it does take some trial and error. I'd like to offer the words of encouragement that you're gonna kill some plants and it's okay. Like to have a lot of plants, you're probably gonna kill a few plants along the way. Especially like the trendy showy plants, like fiddle leaf figs especially are very fussy. And I don't know if they're as trendy anymore, but they had a moment and they're very hard to keep alive. So don't get discouraged and make sure your plants have good drainage. Make sure you're changing the soil. Yeah, just keep at it.
Oh, those are good questions. And that's really good advice too. I feel like you are the most encouraging. I also think people come to you and say things like, here's all my ferns for the winter,
Yeah.
or hey, what do I do with this? Or what is this? I always see people carrying things, not just,
Yeah.
checking out the plants, but I see them bringing things to you. And you
Yeah.
are so amazing because you're always like, well, I'm learning too. I'm learning as I go. So you always have liked plants, but you've learned so much just by doing this, right? Or what was
Yes.
your plant history before
Absolutely.
this?
Yeah, I've always had houseplants as an adult. I've always kept houseplants. I have invested more in my plants over the years, kind of figured out better soil, like don't use topsoil at all, like use a houseplant mix, preferably something with like a good compost and like a peat in there. It's I've killed a few plants along the way. But I have like a bunch of grow lights at my house and different watering schedules and different fertilizers I use. And I think it does come down to a matter of preference, like whatever you want to work with, whatever you find is doing well in your environment with your plants.
Branching out just for a moment. If you weren't here at the library, what do you see yourself doing?
Oh boy, if I wasn't here at the library, crying probably. I love the library. If I wasn't working in libraries, I don't know, probably something like with people still, like some kind of social advocacy, social work, something like that.
Customer service, something, yeah.
Little boss Jen keeps encouraging me gently to go to grad school, right? So I'm almost at the end of my undergrad, and she's like, when are you going to go to grad school? I don't think library school is in the cards for me necessarily, but I've considered like a social work graduate program or something, which I think is important in libraries.
Oh, for sure. Judy, who used to work there, who you knew as well, Judy used to say that. She said, don't you feel like sometimes we're more social workers than librarians anyway? So I do feel like it's a good time. That's a great crossover to have.
I would just like to say, whatever program you plan to get into, we are rooting for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian.
These questions are very punny, Adrian. Nice job. I love them.
Always. Did you prepare these, or are you just off the cuff?
We're just working through this.
We don't prepare anything. We just show up and say random stuff. But I love where this is. I love where this is going though, because I knew so much good stuff about you, but it's so great to hear the extra things or the questions. Molly, how do you feel about working with Adrian? Here's a question for you.
Boy, is this on the record?
Well, he's the editor, so we won't know till it comes out. So I guess
I love working with Adrian. I do. He brings a lot of extra, like above and beyond kind of vibe to the work. He sets the bar high too. Like, I think the most annoying thing about working with Adrian is he makes the rest of us look like we're slackers because
you feel lazy next to him.
He does.
Would you say he's very extra? Would you say he's very extra?
He is extra. He's extra. He does extra. He acts extra.
He makes it fun though. He has very creative, fun ideas.
Yes, he does. And I really especially enjoy the way that he brings the staff together.
Yes.
It's time to change the subject. So, do you have any sage advice for our listeners?
Well, if you're growing sage, you should trim it back regularly because it'll grow better. I'm actually listening to Braiding Sweetgrass right now. And it's by, the author's name escapes me right now. Her first name is Robin Wall Kimmerer, I think. But it's indigenous knowledge in the natural world. And she talks about like reciprocal relationships and not taking more than you need and using what you get respectfully. So I guess I don't know exactly how that applies to library world, but it seems like a good reminder in general.
I feel like it's also so totally you. Like that's how you have always lived, whether you're reading about it now or not. And I just love it. I think it ties into Bedford's entire, this was a little bit before your time, but now you've piggybacked on it, but the whole green initiative, right? With the rain barrels or like the drinking fountain, all of those things that are there now is also very, the recycling, the refillable drinking fountain, all of that stuff I feel like is very important. I mean, it's important everywhere, not just the library and your homes, but It's a natural tie-in for you.
Oh, another program plug on April 11th, I think at 6 p.m. we have Dr. Andy Jorgensen from the University of Toledo coming to give a presentation on climate change.
Oh, okay.
That's open
awesome.
to all ages, an award-winning environmental scientist.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what day was that? April 11th, did you say?
Yeah, it's a Thursday. So that's during National Library Week. Woo!
Okay.
So we're hoping to have a pretty full roster of programs, you know, just different wonderful, important things that you can learn about in your library.
I love it.
Will be the Thursday thing that you can learn about.
I also love that he wanted your sage advice, and you honestly had a tip about sage. Like, I feel like if he's trying to stump you, he's losing, because I feel like you have great answers, both literally and just in general. So great answers, Molly. You're winning. You're beating Adrian.
Believe me, this has been very intriguing.
Intriguing.
Believe me. Just when I think he's run out of them, he comes up with more.
Right.
It's all right.
It's great.
We probably should be wrapping this up, though. So before we do that, do you want to stick in any plugs here?
Me?
Yeah, well, either way, any plugs from you? Or we did talk a little bit about what you're reading too, a couple things that you're reading in your book club. But yeah, do you have anything else that you want to share with our listeners about the library, or you, or in general? You've done such a thorough job.
Let's say in honor of Women's History Month, I did just read How to Save Babylon by Sophia Sinclair, and that is definitely like a top read of the year for me so far. She's born and raised in Jamaica with a Rastafari father, and so this is like a memoir about her experiences growing up in that environment. And her writing is just so beautiful. She's a poet by trade, and so this memoir was just like poetic and lovely and really enlightening, a lot of things that I didn't know that she talked about, and it was just like a gorgeous read. So highly recommend that.
Wonderful. That sounds great. You can always go to mymcls.com, the events calendar, the new events calendar, check it out. You can see events at any branch near you, or any type. If you want to go to something garden related, it's very searchable.
We would like to thank you for joining us today, Molly.
Thank you for having me.
We want to do this a long time, and especially like in the spring like this, I think it's really good because you're kind of coming into a lot of great things to come. Check Molly.
Yeah, everything's gearing up for the spring for sure.
It's safe to say you've rose to the occasion.
Thank you.
This has been In the Library with
Marsha
and Adrian, and our special guest
Molly.
Yay! Thank you, Molly.
Thank you. So good to see you.
You too.